How you doing, everybody? It is Tazz da Angel here again with some more car talk, good conversation you can ride to. And today, my message is going to be knowing how and when to remove issues that have been lingering but need to be disposed of quickly, right? And the way I'll describe it is, or before I describe it, I'll give an explanation about what I mean. A lot of times, we as adults and as people, especially actually teenagers. I don't know how many teens really listen to my podcast just yet, but this message is definitely relevant to them, but also relevant to adults in the sense of many times we carry around baggage and we carry around problems that we should have let go or handled long ago. And when we don't handle them promptly and in a timely manner, they build up. And then some person who does some small thing that usually would have just like barely irritated you, now that person gets exploded on. You know how people say the straw that broke the camel's back? Because the camel was carrying so much, it was almost at its limit, and you just put that one thing on and it now exceeds its limit, and it's too much. So the example that I like to use is weights. Every time someone does something that bothers you, that you feel disrespected by, that you feel ridiculed by, anything that could have a negative effect has a weight to it. So if someone does something that upsets you and you don't say anything, let's say that's 5 pounds. Now you're walking around with an extra 5 pounds on your back. 2 police cars are driving pretty quickly down my road. Back to it. I'm going to be occasionally looking down there because I have family that lives down that way, to make sure everything's straight. Okay, no. They drove past the house. Okay, if someone does something that you are upset by, or bothered by, and you don't say anything, then again, that's 5 pounds. So you're walking around with an extra 5 pounds, carrying it, day in, day out, sleeping with it, showering with it, eating with it, everything. Someone else does something, that's another 5 pounds. Your boss says something you don't like, that's another 5 pounds. Your kids waited until the last minute to do a project, or they didn't clean the kitchen when you told them to, that's another 5 pounds. So now you're up to about 25 pounds, if I'm not mistaken. Someone else, boss, kids, 15 when you're already at 10. So now you're at 25 extra pounds. The thing about that weight is, at some point in time, you're going to have to get the weight off you. Because it will either overwhelm you and drag you down to where you can't move anymore, you're no longer mobile. And of course, we're talking emotionally, so you're stagnant emotionally. Or you will do everything in your might to throw the weight off you once someone puts some more on. Have you ever seen those superhero movies or, fight movies where the main character is getting jumped by a whole lot of people, and instead of like actually attacking them, all the guys just like run and get on top of them, and then the hero just bursts up and throws all the people around? Well, that's how it is going to be once you build it up. Because to get that weight off you, it's going to take pressure. The more weight that you allow to be stacked on you, the more pressure it's going to take for you to get it off you. So now, instead of just 5 pounds of pressure, or a little bit of pressure just to knock that 5 pounds off, it's now taking exponentially more because you have so much weight on you. So to handle this, oh, by the way, for the people watching the video, this thing that's in my chin is not food or anything like that. I always keep a toothpick here. I have an oral fixation, so toothpicks, candy, gum, things like that. I gotta have them around at all times. So I keep a toothpick here in my beard. Actually, technically, this part's the goatee and that's the beard. But either way, keep it in my facial hair for later usage. But once that pressure builds up, now you have to explode to get it off you. So what's best to do is talk about the feeling that you felt after you're done feeling it. Because it is never, ever productive or a good idea to talk about a feeling that you're still feeling. Because then your conversation will turn from conversation to the explosion. It will turn into the explosion that you were trying to avoid. So if someone makes you mad, don't talk to that person while you're still mad. Because have you ever told a story that happened when you were in high school or middle school, or when you were at a family reunion, something, and while you were telling that story was something that someone did that made you mad. While you were telling that story, the emotions from that started bubbling back up and you got mad all over again? So if you could feel those feelings from years ago, again, in the moment of telling that story, how do you think your delivery will be if you're still feeling that? Because you'll be feeling those feelings, and then while you're talking about it, you're going to think about what the person said or what they did to even get you to that point, and it'll make you even madder. So that's when the explosion happens. To avoid the explosion, again, talk about a feeling. Talk about your feelings when you're no longer feeling them. Be great at disengaging. I will repeat. Be great at disengaging. And in my lifetime, and it's just a short 28 years on this earth, but in my lifetime, I have, through my experience, I've become to realize that often the female gender does not want to disengage. Once they're feeling the feeling, they want to talk about it right then and there. And that is never a good idea, ladies. I'm saying this honestly and because I care. It is never a good idea to talk about an emotion that you are still currently feeling. Once you have processed that emotion, once you've thought about it and kind of cooled down, then you can have the conversation. But even then, if you feel that anger bubbling back up and getting close to a dangerous level again, that is when you must disengage. Stop the conversation. Because for communication to be effective, you have to be able to deliver the message in a way the person can digest. Many people, including myself, I cannot digest a person yelling at me. It will negate whatever words are being said to me and spark that energy that you're throwing at me. It will spark that in me, and I would be enticed to give it back to you. So what I would do is when I feel that, I will say, and anyone who knows me, my mama, sister, wife, exes, homies, anybody who knows me know when I say this, I'm not lying to you. If I get to that point where that energy is about to come back to you that you're giving me, and it's going to be worse because I wasn't here originally, so now that you made me this mad, I'm going to shut you up. When I feel that energy bubbling up, I will say these exact words. I don't think this conversation is productive. I would like to disengage. I said this to my mom. I said this to my dad. I said this to my sister. Because if I don't, then I can go into an area that will make this conversation disrespectful. Because if you won't leave me alone, I'm going to say something to make you leave me alone, which will be something hurtful. That's what I used to do. I used to just lash out. If a person gave me that energy, I'm giving it back to you twofold, fivefold, tenfold. I'm shutting you up because that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to shut up. That's what my head was. But that was ineffective because what it would do is one of two things. It would either throw gas on that fire that was already roaring, or it would shut them up, but it's because I hurt them so bad and they didn't think I would say anything like that. So now that person is looking at me differently. They can't have the same types of conversation with me anymore. They don't feel the same levels of love from me anymore because they don't believe that someone who loved them would say the things that I said or treat them the way that I treated them when I said it. I was looking to see if more police cars were coming. But it's not, it's a Jeep. So I had to learn to disengage. And this is to my fellas. And sometimes the emotional roles are switched. Sometimes the male is the guy the male is the guy who's more likely to talk in his emotions, where the female might want to disengage. Of course it's circumstantial depending on whatever the relationship is. As a heterosexual male, I can only talk about the area that I have experience in. Now, like I said, the roles can be reversed, so whichever role applies, just switch it around. But in the relationships that I've had, the roles were I was the one who was trying to disengage. My female counterpart or significant other didn't want that so much. So, again, if you get to the point where you're trying to disengage and the person is badgering you, because that can and possibly will happen, especially when you first start your when you first start attempting to disengage, because it's something so new. That person may not know how to accept it and be like, nah, you ain't finna run away from this, we're gonna talk about it right now. That happens. It's happened to me, and I'm not going to tell you what to say because I don't know any of you guys' relationships or situations, so I cannot tell you what to say in this regard. All I can say is what I've said. When I have been followed while trying to disengage, I've said things like, you know how my anger can get? Why would you provoke that? I don't want that. You shouldn't want that either. It's one thing that I've said. I'm not telling you to say it. I'm only telling you what I've said. I've also said things like, and I think this is actually the better answer. I think the first one was more I was trying to leave, but it was still emotion in my words. But I think this one was a better thing to say because it was more truthful. Well, both of them were true, but this one was better. The other thing that I would say is when I'm disengaging, I'm not running from you. I am literally fighting myself because that voice in the back of my head is getting louder. So I'm telling me, literally, I'm telling myself to shut up. I'm fighting me on the inside right now. I can't fight you and me because someone's going to win and someone's going to lose. So please allow me to disengage and we can continue this conversation once we've both dealt with our feelings. Not one, because many times it also happens where one person will sit and process a certain feeling or feelings, and then once those feelings are brought, I'm sorry, once those feelings are processed, they just give them to the next person. Like, hey, I've been thinking about this all day. Boom, 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 boom. And honestly, that's not fair. What I say when that has happened to me several times in my life, what I say to that is the same amount of time it took you to get to where you are in this mind state, in this conversation, I should be given that to process it because you sat around processing your feelings. So don't sit and process your feelings for hours and hours on end and then deliver it to someone, expect them to have it all done within a few seconds and be ready to have that conversation with you. It's not fair because you didn't take a few seconds to process your feelings. The same amount of time that it takes you to process what you're feeling, give the other person at least that. At least that. Because that's fairness. Because what if it takes them longer? And also, what if it doesn't take them as long? But see, if it takes someone 2 hours and you already gave them 5, then when they come back 3 hours before, makes you feel better. Because they cared enough to work on themselves and process that in a faster amount of time. But some people may take longer. And you can't fault them for that either. Because everyone's not going to be on the same emotional level. That's just a fact. Everyone's not going to be on the same mental level. Even though you're together, there are going to be uneven levels. One person might be better at shopping. The other person may be better at saving. One person may be better at cooking. The other person might be better at cleaning. You have different levels. So to expect someone to be exactly where you are is honestly unfair to that other person. And we have to be aware of these things. We have to be aware that this person needs time, just like I needed time. They may need more, they may need less, but they will need time. So I said all that to say, and I'm about to close because I'm almost at 20 minutes. I said all that to say, make sure you're not carrying around extra weights because it'll take more pressure to get it off you. And when you explode all those, oh, this is the Anchor recording, by the way. But when you explode and get that weight off you, realize that those 5 pounds are flying now. They're flying in the air from your explosion, and they can hit people who had nothing to do with it. And that's often how it happens. When you explode, many times you explode on people who never even put any weights on you, or who may not have known that they put weights on you. So this is the importance of open clear, I was going to say emotionless conversation, but I'm not going to say emotionless conversation, but it's better to have conversation that isn't driven by the emotion. Of course, emotion can and should be involved, but it shouldn't drive the conversation, because then you're more likely going to crash. So make sure you talk about the feelings after you feel them, not before, and not while you're still feeling them. Not before you're done processing them, and not while you're still in that moment of feeling them. Process your feelings. Think about, why am I feeling like this? Why did that make me feel this way? What about it? Was it what they said? Was it how they said it? Was it who was around when they said it? Process those feelings. And then after the processing, bring the conversation to the person that it's involving. Don't ask your significant other's parents, why they're doing something or any of that. Don't ask a person's kids why they're doing this or that. Go to the person who can provide you the real answer. That's a part of conversation. Direct. Go to the person who it's actually involving so you can get true understanding. Because when you go around in that circle, so many different things can get put in there that had nothing to do with it. By the time you actually go to the actual person that it's involving, you already think it's something that it wasn't. And then that causes more confusion. Where if you just go straight to the source, confusion is taken out. It's not even possible. Right? So, I am now going to close. Again, this is Tazz Angel with more car talk. Good conversation you can ride to. I appreciate you all for listening. I would love it if you guys would share this with someone who needs to hear it. Like, comment, favorite my channel on Anchor. This can be heard on any network that you're able to hear podcasts. Amazon, Google, Apple, Spotify. Like, it's on any area that you can hear a podcast. And now it is also available on YouTube. And my YouTube channel is Tazz da Angel. All of those are spaces. Tazz, Tazz, space Da, space Angel. And on my YouTube page, I have some of everything. I have my podcast, I have dancing videos, I have gameplay videos, I have some of everything on there. Rapping videos, I forgot about that. A performance I did not too long ago. I have a lot of stuff on there. And like I said, on all these different platforms, you can listen to my podcast as well. So I really, really, really appreciate you all for listening. And I hope something that I said made sense and stuck. And that I explained it well enough for you to be able to give it to someone else. Because the purpose for us getting information is to give information. Never hold on to it. Well, never hold on to helpful information. Because sometimes you need to stack intel. But that's another story for another day. You all have a great day. I love you. I appreciate you. Hit me up if you need anything, conversation, because I ain't got no money. Hit me up if you need any type of help with anything, advice, just another perspective, because it's not like I'm a guru, I know everything, but if you just need another perspective, whatever, feel free to hit me up, and I'll respond as fast as I can. You guys have a great day, and happy belated Thanksgiving.